Hey guys, Alex here. I am doing my second book review. Just a little pat on my back right now. I am reviewing Love Under Quarantine by Audrey, Carlan, and Kylie Scott. These two awesome authors have joined forces to write a book all about love under quarantine. Admittedly, I have not read an Audrey Carlan book, but I am a huge Kylie Scott fan. Stage Dive series is one of my favorite series of all time, and I recommend it to literally everybody. So let's dive right into it. Here is the general synopsis of Love Under Quarantine. We have Evan, who is a super sexy NFL player amidst of a doping scandal, and actually it starts to happen right at the brink of COVID-19 and the quarantine. He actually is in lockdown in San Francisco in his friend's apartment, where his next door neighbor, he finds out, is a super curvaceous, really adorable romance writer named Sadie. Sadie is a junk food loving romance writer who happens to find a lot of inspiration in Evan for her current novel, which is really delightful. One of my favorite things about Sadie is she's also always like fighting with her like muse of like trying to write, and I just like feel that to my core of just like finding that muse to get the words down. But anyways, I digress. It is about these two people, Evan and Sadie, and how they have this growing relationship living next door to each other, and I just really enjoyed that whole sort of slow burn because they can't touch each other. So they really just sort of meet through the balcony and they're going through these situations together. So some backstory on this book is there was some book drama associated with this. Some readers and some Facebook groups thought these authors were taking advantage of readers during a really traumatic time and sort of, trying to, make a buck off of this virus quarantine situation.
What?
I am going to have to disagree here. I mean, you don't have to read the book if you don't want to. I mean, it says it in the title. You know exactly what this book is about. It's literally about love under quarantine. So I don't know. It doesn't get more obvious than that. I don't think it's taking advantage. Honestly, as someone who's read the book, I think it's kind of nice. I like that the book takes place actually with something that's going on right now. It's just kind of interesting to kind of go step by step. Like this book literally starts at the beginning of March when all the quarantine restrictions were starting to happen. So like I remember those levels. So to see these two characters and their relationship grow while at the same time fully understanding what they were going through, I liked it. Not at any point when reading this novel did I think that they were taking advantage. That's just silly. I'm just gonna put it out there. I just think it's silly. Don't read it if you don't want to. That is just my personal opinion. I still think it's well worth a read if you enjoy romance. I mean, if it makes you feel better, read it in a couple months. In a year. I don't do whatever you need to do, boo-boo. Okay? Cool. Things that I really liked about this book is I thought it was really sweet and funny, and I thought the chemistry was really there between Evan and Sadie. It's this, strangers to lovers sort of romance, and that slow burn relationship. Like they meet because they're neighbors, and they, Evan sees her doing yoga on the balcony, and he was like, who is that? And kind of vice versa, as well. Sadie sees him, thinks he's kind of jerk because he's yelling on the phone, but like there's this attraction that sort of grows. And the funnest part about this is because it's so literal with this quarantine is that they don't touch. Like Sadie is really adamant they don't touch because they are literally in quarantine for 2 weeks. And so that kind of leaves room for some, super sexy like phone calls and video calls that kind of happen to have like that relationship grow. So I really enjoyed that. And it's so funny because, Sadie's like, we have to wait 14 days. And Evan's like, how about 9? How about 10? And she's like, no, are you listening? Like, no. Also, something that I liked is that you're kind of on the edge of your seat reading this book. Evan is going through this doping scandal, which could ruin his NFL career. And don't worry, this isn't a spoiler, but he didn't do it. It's revealed in the first chapter that he was framed with having steroids in his locker, and he was even roofied at a party. So, you always kind of are curious how that's going to end up, especially as this relationship grows and there's this fear of being in public and, and all of that. And then there is this, underlying thing that's happening where Sadie is writing a book with him as the inspiration. So No spoilers there. I'm gonna let you read and find out what happens in the end, but I just enjoyed how that grew and how that kind of, you know, pulled the story along. It was just, it was fun and enjoyable, and you were able to kind of focus on that growing relationship between Evan and Sadie, which I liked. Something crazy about this book is its COVID-19 realness. You just have this really great grasp of what these characters are kind of going through, because you are literally going through it right now. Sadie is constantly worried about her family, and her dad starts getting sick and she's concerned. There's this fear of touching, and there's this fear of being around each other and going outside. I mean, it's just, those are very real things that we're dealing with right now. And so if you don't like that part, then I don't recommend this book for you. But I personally really enjoyed it because it just gave that ability to connect with the story more, where normally romance is really fluffy. And although the romance is kind of fluffy, I think that there's an element, because it is so real, that kind of makes it a little bit more, I don't know, to sink your teeth into. I just enjoyed that part. Sometimes it almost felt too real, but in a good way, if that makes sense. I don't know. You got to read and find out for yourself, but that was something that I thought was really interesting. And that's honestly part of something that I liked. You just don't get that. You don't get a romance novel that matches current events, like as you're living it, So although it gives you COVID-19 realness, I think it could cure your COVID-19 woes. Yeah. So in conclusion, I really thought this book was really cute and funny. I enjoyed the characters, Evan and Sadie's chemistry. It was an enjoyable read. If you were to ask me if this was these authors' best book, no, I don't agree. I don't think it's their best book. I definitely think it's an easy, simple, fun read to dive into, but I don't think it's their best. But that doesn't mean it's not good. I think it's still a really great read. I thought the writing flowed really, really well. There was never a point where I wondered if there were two different authors writing this book. So that was interesting too. So the things that I disliked about this book aren't necessarily very big deals. I just think this is a nice romance novel to get you through sort of confusing, uncertain times. It's a great book to cuddle up with. I recommend this book. I think you'll really enjoy it. It is achingly sweet and very funny and sexy and everything you kind of want. And also it serves a little bit of realness for you with that COVID-19 quarantine issue. But yeah. So give Love Under Quarantine a read. It is available now on Amazon. It released May 5th. And shout out to SocialButterfly PR for providing me a advanced reader copy. I really appreciate it. It was very enjoyable. What are you reading during quarantine? What is your favorite book that you've read during quarantine this far? I mean, we're, day 523 into quarantine. So what have you read? Let me know what your favorite read during quarantine is in the comments. Love to hear about it. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely smash that like button, subscribe and ring that bell, whatever it is the kids are doing these days. I don't know. But I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. You are awesome. And yeah, catch you later. Bye.